Same request, same repo, same model, with and without one markdown file at the project root. This is what the second version looks like. The file lands in the wrong folder, the service is named against your convention, and a helper the project already has gets written again from scratch. Nothing failed. Nothing warned you. Most developers have written that root file, and most are still getting this answer. 5 reasons why. Sorted from the most obvious to the most expensive. Notice what's not on the list. Writing style, tone, how politely you phrase the rules. None of that moves the needle, which is why template posts don't fix this. The pattern underneath all 5 is the same. Your context file is not documentation. It's an instruction set with a reader that never asks follow-up questions. It will not tell you it ignored you. The first failure is length. A file long enough to need scrolling is a file the model skims and you stop maintaining. Every line you add competes with every other line for attention, including the lines that actually matter. The fix isn't better writing, it's ruthless subtraction. If a rule hasn't prevented a mistake in the last month, it's decoration. Test it this way. Would a competent stranger reading only this file avoid your last 3 code review complaints? If yes, it's long enough. If it's longer than that, it's too long. And when a rule only applies to one corner of the repo, it doesn't belong in the root file at all. Put a small file in that folder instead, so the rule loads when it's relevant and stays out of the way when it isn't. Zol. Second failure, contradictions. Rules accumulate over months, written by different moods. One line says keep queries in the service layer, another says use the repository pattern, and nothing says which wins. A human would ask. The model picks one, usually the one that appears later, or the one that matches its training bias, and you get inconsistency that looks random, but isn't. Every rule needs a scope and a winner. When 2 rules can both apply, name which one wins in the file itself. That sentence is worth more than the 2 rules it arbitrates. Third failure, and this is the one that separates a file that works from a file that just exists. People paste information into it. Architecture explanations, API documentation, database schemas, but a context file is not where knowledge lives, it's where the map to knowledge lives. Mature files stopped containing information and started pointing to it. What this project is, what the agent is allowed to touch, and a routing table saying where the details are. That's half the answer to why the file stops working. It drowned. The other half is that it aged. Fourth, rules outlive the reasons for them. A constraint you wrote when the project was 3 files still forbids something you now do daily. The model obeys it perfectly. That's the problem. Stale rules are worse than missing rules, because a missing rule makes the model guess, and a stale rule makes it confidently wrong. Cheapest maintenance habit there is. The file names your verify command, and you run that command from the file every time you touch it. If the command in the file doesn't run, the file is out of date, and you found out in 10 seconds instead of in a diff. Fifth, the expensive one. Your rules live in one tool's file format. You switch tools, or a teammate uses a different one, and the rules don't come with you. Half get copied, half get forgotten, and nobody knows which half. Today the names are Claude.md, Agents.md, Cursor rules. Next year there'll be another. The names are not the asset. The rules are. Keep one source, file your team owns, and let each tool's file be a thin pointer to it. 3 lines saying, read this. When the next tool arrives, you write 3 more lines instead of rewriting your standards from memory. It also settles the argument nobody wins otherwise. With one source, a rule change is a pull request your team reviews, not a private edit in somebody's local config that quietly diverges for 6 months. Act calm. So, the file stops working when it grows, contradicts itself, turns into a wiki, goes stale, or gets locked to one tool. Fix all 5 and you get the first answer instead of the second one. The difference between the 2 runs at the start of this video was never the model. Here's tonight's version, and it takes 10 minutes. Open your context file, paste in the last 3 things you corrected in a code review as 3 lines, then delete until the whole thing fits on one screen. If deleting hurts, you found the decoration. Tell me in the comments what you cut. I'm collecting the patterns.